Hi, this is Dr. Lonnie Smith, and you're about to hear some incredible music by a very dear friend of mine, Mr. Robbie Robinson. Great conductor, arranger, and musician. Stick around.
Joey DeFrancesco here. Just want to say a few words about my friend, Robbie Robinson. Wonderful person, most of all. Great musician, musical director for many years with my other friend, Frankie Valli. I can't say enough good things about this guy. You're there today with him and you're hanging out, and you're going to find out for yourself.
And now a man who has learned after all these years that big girls do cry, Robbie Robinson.
Tonight is going to be such a super cool night because our guest is actually a legend in the jazz world. This guy, you know what? I've got a video that kind of describes how he got his start.
We have a young man with us who is 20 years of age and reputed to be the best 20-year-old drummer in the whole world. And here is young 20-year-old Les DeMerle and Sounds of 67.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. What a great 20 years old. He's just getting started, and he's just getting started now here all these decades later. Please put your virtual hands together and give a nice round of applause to my dear, dear friend, Mr. Les DeMerle, everybody.
Hey, Robbie.
Man, oh, man, what a start.
Man, it was incredible. Thank you, Robbie.
How you doing that now? First of all, I was concerned about you because I know you're in Amelia Island, Florida, and hurricanes, so I guess you're okay, obviously.
Yeah, we're okay. It's been a little windy. I'm in my little studio here in the garage, Robbie, and actually it's bustling outside right now. You know, there's little gusts of wind, but Bonnie and I are very safe here, and
Good.
we went got out of the house today. It's no, it looks like it's going to pass us, so we're okay. Thank you for
Good, good,
asking.
good. Yeah, you didn't have to deal with hurricanes when you were out here in California, did you?
No, just earthquakes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you've got so much going on, and and you also you've always been one of the most energetic people on the planet that I know. You are, and
Uh,
you're just getting started, man. It's just so cool. Here, I've got a cool little bio thing on you here, if I can find the right picture here. Les DeMerle, jazz drummer legend, performed with Harry James, Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, Sammy Davis Jr., Manhattan Transfer, Mel Torme, Lionel Hampton, Joe Williams, Wayne Newton, Sarah Vaughan. No big names in there, though, right? Man, oh man. And then leader of the groundbreaking band Les DeMerle Transfusion, which I was honored to be a part of. Harry James
big part.
called. Oh, well, thank you. Harry James called Les the best all-around drummer I ever had. Harry's other drummers were Buddy Rich and Louis Bellson. Those are pretty amazing words, brother.
Yes,
How was
so
it working with
blessed to
Harry
have had.
James for so many years, man?
Well, Robbie, you know, it was so beautiful because, like you, we all came into it with rock and roll and blues. And in my genre, big band music was very, very important. And so when I was able to actually, with that same band that you just opened up the show with,
Uh
that
huh.
was Sound 60. The way that I met Harry was I was booked with that band. He heard that specific show, called Willard Alexander, his agent, and said, "Who's the kid with that, hot quintet?" So he
Yeah.
said, "That's Les Jamel." He said, "Well, I want to book him. I want to hire him to open up for my band at the Riverboat." So the first time I met Harry, I played as a leader opposite him. I did the warm-up set, and then
Wow.
he came on with his big band at the Riverboat in New York with Buddy Rich on drums. So, and then later, after that 3 week gig, he said to me, he says, "Give me your card, kid, and if we ever make a change, I might consider calling you to be my drummer."
By the way,
So when I met
who was the drummer for him then? When you were
Buddy,
working, Buddy Rich. Wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, Harry, Robbie. Well, first of all, he was a drummer when he was a kid. His father was a circus band leader, and when
Oh,
he was about 6 years old, he played drums, and then they gave him a trumpet. Actually played drums first, so he
wow.
always had this affinity for drummers. And not only did he have Buddy and Louis Bellson, he had Sonny Payne, he had
Yeah.
Jake Hanna, and then but I basically came in right after Buddy, and I was the one that stayed the longest because I stayed with him all the years that you and I were playing together with Transfusion.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I could keep the cellar was that I had a steady gig with Harry James that helped me bring home the bread.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we all need
Yeah.
a gig, don't we?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that you had to have the in order to play music the way we wanted to play. As you know,
Mhm.
we did so many Monday nights at the Cellar Theater where we basically played for the door. It wasn't
Exactly.
about the money; it was about the music.
And that
But
was
I
such an
needed to
amazing
pay the rent.
time. We were talking the other day, and one of the so many amazing musicians, world-renowned musicians, came through and hung out, sat in with us, and all kinds of cool stuff.
Absolutely, Robbie. And again, for your audience, Robbie, I must tell you, all the folks that know you, how important you were to that band, and of course
Oh
Rex
yeah,
also, because you guys, when you hooked up with me, you really took the music to another level, and then it was so beautiful to have the guys that I knew, like Richie Cole,
yeah,
and then get guys down there like Eddie Harris and Eddie Jefferson and Freddie Hubbard and Jaco Pastorius came through, and John Clemmer, so many, Eric Marienthal, the list,
yeah.
Dave Benoit, the list goes on and on. And many of those cats, as you know, became superstars.
Yes.
So you were with me, and I'm so happy too that we put down some music that is documented. So for the folks out there that might not have ever heard of transfusion, check it out, because Robbie Robinson is not only playing incredibly on that, but he wrote a lot of the music. He's one of the great arrangers. And Rex, what we had with the Robinson brothers, I always called the Mother Brothers.
Right.
You
I know.
know.
Well,
So
you know what? That's a great segue. And first of all, thank you for those kind, kind words. I mean, it was really special. The trio that we had as the foundation of that band was so, and then all these. But we had. I have this clip of one of the songs that we did on that great album, Les DeMerle Transfusion, and maybe that's a good lead-in to play that.
Okay.
This is called Canned Heat Suite, and it kind of. I remember writing it years ago, and it covers a lot of musical styles in this one little suite, doesn't it? Can you say anything about the Canned Heat Suite? You want to describe it?
Well, first of all, Robbie, the fact that I'm a drummer, when you first brought it into a rehearsal and it had that do 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 do, I said,
Yeah.
"Oh man, this is my meat." I'm gonna take a big bite of that steak.
You did too, brother.
So it starts with that beautiful, 12/8, 6/8 groove, and as intense as it is, as fast as the tempo is, it's relaxed. And that's something that very few people that can play that intensity can do nowadays. And so when I hear this, even though it's burning like crazy, it's still very relaxed. And we had the chops, to make it happen. And then you put it into that halftime like funk groove where we go in this, and then finally it ends in the most beautiful ballad. To me, it's like a movie score. I mean, this suite that you wrote, Can Heat Suite, tells a whole story. It's just like a beautiful movie to me every time I hear it.
And for the musicians out there, what happens is that we're going like Les says, it's fast 6/8, 12/8 thing. 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3, and then it evolves. Actually, it fades from one to the next. It evolves into 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 but it's still got that same metric pulse.
Exactly, Robbie. Yeah. And then also there's some chemistry, Robbie, serious chemistry with you and I in this
Yeah, I know, man.
when I'm playing over the funk line that Rex Robinson and the guitar player is laying down. You had the Moog synthesizer. I believe it was a Moog at that time.
You know what? It's that very same one. It's right there. If you can see it behind me here.
Oh, really? The same one, Robbie?
Yeah,
Wow.
and that's the same Oberheim that I played with that band too.
Man, that's amazing. Wow. So when I was doing like these over the bar phrases and accents, you were right there with me hitting these incredible, and we could never do that again in our
No.
lives if we tried.
Can you
Never,
imagine
never.
trying to score that? Oh man.
If we ever could do that, you'd be arrested, man. It'd be
Exactly.
it's too much fun to have, man.
Well, let's let the audience hear this. This is called Canned Heat Suite. This is the Les DeMerle Transfusion, and by the way, it's not overdubbed. We played all this live in the studio, as I remember it, at Gold Star,
Absolutely.
if I remember,
Absolutely, Robbie.
where the Beach Boys and all these guys did. So here it is, Canned Heat Suite, Les DeMerle Transfusion. All right, brother. Wow.
And
After all that frantic intensity,
yeah,
that we all it kind of it does it like it takes you on this kind of roller coaster ride, and then at the end it just kind of smooths out and mellows out, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Beautiful writing, Robbie. Beautiful
Well,
writing.
and the playing. I mean, you can write whatever you want, and I've always said people ask me about what's it take to be a good arranger, and I said you get great players. It's simple.
Yeah.
You're playing your tail off on that, my friend.
Oh, and you too, my man. You too. Yeah.
Yeah, those were some amazing days, and one of the things that I think too is very impressive, and again for to get into the weeds a little bit with the audience because I know we have a lot of music aficionados there. That was Emmett Chapman playing a solo on the stick, the Chapman stick, which was really pretty amazing, actually. You
Yeah,
want
and that was also the first time he'd ever recorded with a band.
to?
He had done a few demo things with just the stick, and I played some duets with him. But when I asked him to actually be on the session, you and I had been playing Can Heat Suite with maybe a guitar player. But when he came in and did his thing, he's got to me. I hear Jimi Hendrix in that solo.
Yes,
I hear that
absolutely.
Jimi. Yeah.
And the Chapman stick became a world famous instrument. A lot of jazz legends and have adopted it to be a part of their arsenal. And he's the guy who invented it.
Yep, that's right. He was the man. He's a genius, a true
Yeah, without
genius.
question, no question about it.
Beautiful, a beautiful man. He loved transfusion, Robbie. He loved the energy of the band. And so I just thought, if you like the band that much, join it, join
I
us.
love the band. Man, you were. I mean, you. I was gonna say you were back in those days. You were quite the impresario, quite the guy to pull it all together. But you still are. You have always been that. So much so that you've been the artistic director, producer of the Amelia Island Jazz Festival now for quite a number of years, right?
Yes, Robbie, 21 years.
Wow.
Bonnie and I moved to Amelia Island and we were the house band at the Ritz-Carlton until 9/11. And then budgets got cut and we decided we'd love to live here. So we started to do cruise contracts. I'd like to talk about that also in a minute.
Yeah.
And then we started the Amelia Island Jazz Festival. So with this year is the festival is 8 days. It's September 29th and it goes to October 6th. And we're bringing in Grace Kelly. Thank you for putting her up
Yeah.
there. She's a hot Asian American artist. She's got a great website,
Uh-huh.
tours all over the world. She sings and plays alto. She studied with Phil Woods, Robbie, so
Wow.
she's the real deal.
Yeah.
And yet she's got this tremendous crossover appeal, and she's young, So I'm hoping that she's going to bring in a lot of new audience to our festival. And I'm bringing her in with her full band, and then
Ah.
I'm bringing in jazz and blues legend Marsha Ball, who
Yeah.
is the first person to get a lifetime achievement award from Austin City Limits. She was one of the first artists. She's a Southern girl, and she's got a great, serious New Orleans style band. She plays piano and sings,
Uh-huh.
and she's a legend. So I booked her on the Saturday night. That'll be October 5th, and my
Great.
band with Bonnie, my beautiful wife and vocalist, will open for both acts. And then we have Tony Cruz and the Latin
That's
Jazz Legends. Yeah, they're going
uh-huh.
to be on it. A great salsa band. They'll be on Thursday night, and it's like it starts on a Sunday with the University of North Florida Jazz Ensemble 2, directed by Dennis Marks. That's September 29th. Then
Oh,
we have our
cool.
sponsor party on the Monday night. Then we have a jazz and there's Bonnie. Then we have a jazz and wine event where we play different tunes to complement the wine that people drink.
Uh-huh.
So if a tune is Spain, I might play Spain by Chick
Perfect.
Corea, something
Yeah.
like. And so they're tasting this very cool high-end wine, and then we're giving them a taste of the music that would complement the wine. Then Wednesday, my little big band plays. That's our four-horn band. That's the
Uh-huh.
same band that goes out on the cruises with us. And then
Awesome.
Thursday night, the Latin band. Friday night, Grace Kelly. Saturday night, we have the Marcia Ball Band, and following those headlining shows, we take over a beer company. It's actually called it's a brewery on the island called Mokama Beer Company,
Wow.
and we have late night jams where all the college players can join the pros. And our scholarship winner, who's also a girl this year, her
Uh-huh.
name is Ayana Nelson. She's 18 years old, and she's a
Wow.
bass player. So she'll have a youth band that'll host the jam, and then the pros all show up later, and we join them, and we have fun, and we just jam till the wee small hours. Like those.
Super
That's like
cool.
the cellar vibe, like the cellar
Yeah,
vibe.
that cellar vibe was so cool. And here's like some previous years. You had last year. You had Manhattan Transfer, right?
Right, that was a big one for us, Robbie. We
Yeah.
had that was their 50th year in the business, and then they retired after
Right.
the end of the year, and we had them about 6 gigs before the end. And by the way, all those guys said to say hello to you.
Yeah,
Alan,
they're all
Paul,
great.
and everybody. They all love you, man.
I'm gonna have Alan. I'm gonna have Alan Paul as a guest on here. I mean, he's got some stories. But I remember those guys coming down to the cellar back in the days when we were playing there.
Yeah, and that was that connection, Robbie, was because of Richie Cole and Eddie
Yes.
Jefferson.
Yeah.
They had gotten so much with their vocalists from Eddie's lyrics and putting jazz lyrics to famous solos.
Well, let me
So a
interrupt
lot.
you a second because Frankie Valli, part of Frankie Valli's legacy is
Hmm.
and it's in the play Jersey Boys, where he used to sing Moody's Mood for Love.
Right, absolutely, King
And
Pleasure. Uh-huh.
and so please tell the audience the connection with Eddie Jefferson, who used to sit in with us there at the cellar, and Moody's
Right.
Mood for Love.
Well, he was, to my knowledge, Robbie. There were two big hits of Moody's "Mood for Love."
Uh-huh.
Eddie's, I think, was first, and then King Pleasures was second.
Right, but
But
let
I
me
think
intercept.
Eddie
You may
wrote.
not know this because I actually confirmed it with Billy Vera not too long ago. Do
Okay.
you know Eddie Jefferson wrote the lyric?
Yeah, yeah, I know. I did know that.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Because I mean, I traveled on the road with Eddie and Richie, Robbie,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
uh, and in it was actually Richie Cole's band, and I was a sideman to him.
Uh-huh.
And then, he and I are like you and I, but he and I go back to 1969 because he's a New York, he's a
Sure.
Jersey guy, Trenton, New Jersey, and I
Yeah.
was I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and man, so he was in my bands from right after that Sound 67 band in '67. He came on right after those guys before I moved to L.A. So when we hooked up with Eddie Jefferson, then with the Cellar Theater, anytime they were in town, they would come to the Cellar Theater, and then the Manhattan Transfer would come to hear us mostly in San Francisco. We played at
Mm-hmm.
Keystone Corner a lot in San Francisco. And I remember so many nights I'd come to the gig and there would be the whole four Manhattan Transfer in the front row, taking notes to Eddie about Eddie Jefferson and what tunes to lift and what tunes
Exactly.
to,
Yeah.
so they borrowed a lot and they made it their own, from
Yeah.
Eddie.
I mean, they were the iconic jazz vocal band. And Frankie recorded a song with them too. They did a version of Let's
Yeah,
Hang On,
I know.
which was really cool. So
Right.
we'll have Alan on. Well, you know what? Let me go back for a minute. So the Amelia Island Festival, the dates are. Let me go back to your 2024 version. I don't know if I have the dates here. Can you
It's
give us the dates?
September 29th to October 6th.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. And people can
Yeah.
get their tickets at AmeliaIslandJazzFestival.com. If you're in the Florida, if anywhere close to this, you've got to go see this. This is going to be a monstrous jazz festival.
Yes. And Robbie, right after that, we have our own Les DeMerle dance and jazz party cruise.
That blows
And
my
and
mind, man. I just love it.
and it's a charter,
Uh-huh.
so we take out a limited amount of people that get to hear my 8-piece group with Bonnie every night. And we're actually going to be playing in BB King's Club on the Holland America.
Wow.
It's called the New Amsterdam because the BB King estate on that ship, they've got the rights to have like a BB King club, just like
Uh-huh.
they do in New York and
New
and
York, yeah.
Memphis and whatnot. So we'll play in that room earlier in the day, like we'll play from about 5 to 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and then at night the blues bands that are on board will take over. But you get to hear my band every night of the cruise, hang out with the musicians. I do my talks in the afternoon on the sea
Well,
days.
I've got this promo here. Why don't we let the promo
Yeah,
speak it? Here it is.
okay, great. Yes, yeah. Thank you.
One, two.
Hi everyone, Les DeMerle here, jazz drummer, formerly with Lionel Hampton, the Harry James Orchestra, where I toured with Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, and also more recently I'm the artistic director of the Amelia Island Jazz Festival, where I'm proud to say my 8-piece little big band has recently performed with David Sanborn, Mindy A. Bear, Spyro Gyra, David Benoit, Delphio Marsalis, and so many more. I'm here today to tell you about the exciting Jazz Cruise. This is our second annual Les DeMerle Dance and Jazz Party Cruise. The Les DeMerle Little Big Band is featured with vocalist Bonnie Eisel, Marvin Farabee on trumpet, who's formerly with the Four Tops and the Temptations. We also have Dr. Bill Prince, multi-instrumentalist, formerly with Buddy Rich, Bill Hazlett on trombone, Ajax McDonald on tenor saxophone, and the wonderful Miami rhythm section of Mike Levine on piano and Nicky Orta on bass. We are going to be cruising with a charter cruise, and this is the newest jazz cruise out there, by the way, from Fort Lauderdale, November 10th to the 17th. We're on the beautiful New Amsterdam, Holland America's beautiful ship. So if you would like to join us on the high seas, the ports are going to be fabulous. Fort Lauderdale, we leave on the 10th to the Nassau, Bahamas. Then we go to St. Thomas, the Virgin Islands, San Juan, Puerto Rico, Grand Turks, Turks and Caicos, back to Fort Lauderdale. We will also be performing on 2 of the sea days. On the sea days, beside those great sunny days at the pool, in the afternoon, if you like, you can come on down to the theater and hear my full presentation about my life and music, which features video of my playing with the Harry James Orchestra, Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, Joe Williams, the great singer from Count Basie, Mel Torme, and many more. This cruise is the real jazz cruise, and we hope that you guys will all consider joining us. You get up and close and personal with all the musicians. You'll dine with them if you like. You can have drinks with all the guys after the gig, and most of all, you'll be there dancing and having a ball to the right tempos. So ballroom dancers, all you guys come on out there with us too, and groove to a really rich repertoire that represents the true legacy of jazz. So Les DeMerle here telling you I'm so excited, and I'm hoping that many of you will join us November 10th to November 17th on our cruise that is produced by Tom Pacina of Ahoy Cruises. His contact information is in the video. We hope we'll see you out there on the high seas November 10th to the 17th, and we will be swinging in the key of C. Have a good one, everybody. See you on the ship.
The dynamic Les DeMerle on the drum set, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. Does that seem cool?
Yeah, Robbie.
I love it. You're swinging in the key of C. I guess it's SEA, right?
It's SEA.
Yeah, man. I love it. So that looks like really a lot of fun, man. And again, I would encourage anybody who's anywhere interested in that, please get your tickets, because, man, I would love to go on that. My schedule is too crazy.
Oh man. Well, one of these days when you slow down, Robbie, if I still have that going, you come out there with me, please.
Oh, man, wouldn't that be fun? Hey, I'm there in a heartbeat, man. That sounds so much fun.
Yeah.
If we ever slow down, this Frankie Valli keeping up with this 90-year-old kid, is not easy.
I know he's unbelievable. What an incredible, iconic legend, and God bless him. And he's like,
we did 3 cities in 3 days this weekend here. It's
yeah,
like and he just doesn't slow down. By the way, you know who his hero of heroes was? Can you imagine?
Little Jimmy Scott.
Well, Little Jimmy, yeah, very good. That was his favorite singer, but his biggest hero in the business was, as you can imagine, Frank Sinatra.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was going to say either Frank Sinatra or Tony Bennett, because I mean Tony went that last concert he did with Lady Gaga at 95. You know,
There must
unbelievable.
be something in that Italian blood. I know. I wonder, man. But
It's
I have
something in the sauce.
I guess it's in this also as gravy, as they say, as the old school Italianos say.
Right, right, Bobby.
So you had the honor, the privilege to play with the legend, the chairman of the board. I've got this super cool clip, and I know this. I know the audience will love this. Check this out, everybody.
Back in 1939, there was a young boy singer, even skinnier than me, with more hair, and he made musical history when he stood up in front of the Harry James Band and sang this song.
All or nothing at all. Half a love never appealed to me. If your heart never could yield to me, all or nothing at all.
Well, Les, doesn't get any bigger than that, brother.
That was a wonderful, wonderful TV show, and John Denver produced that, and the entire show was built around Harry's career. And so his first hit record ever was with Harry James, Robbie, and that was it, All or Nothing at All, 1939. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, one of the segments that I've been doing for the last few weeks is these two young men who are like the experts of all things Beach Boys, and I'm going to move into that segment right now. And I want them to chat with you a minute here. So don't go away here. I'm going to segue into this.
Get your kicks on the roof.
So everybody, welcome Mr. Matt Coffey here. Les, I want to introduce you to my buddy Matt Coffey, and Matt Coffey, meet Les DeMerle.
Hello,
Hi,
Mr.
Matt.
DeMerle. It's an honor.
Pleasure to meet you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing drumming. When I was in middle school and high school, I played the drums, but I always struggled with those kind of jazzy beats, the more syncopated stuff. I'm more of a like a clubber, so it's really impressive to see people that make that look so easy. So,
Oh, well, thank you. Then that means your drum lesson with me is 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon,
There you
you
go.
know?
I love it.
all right, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and you still do have a lot of students, don't you, Les?
I do, yeah, Robbie, and I really dig working with the kids too. I've got some real young ones now, and I've got some seniors, of course, and I've so but all different levels. And every year I do the Chicago Drum Show, and I'm one of the few guys that, with the help of Bonnie, who mans the booth with me, we start teaching at my booth at 10 in the morning and go to 5, and I do either 15 or 30-minute lessons the entire day for 2 days straight. And then
Do you ever sleep?
I'm also doing Zoom lessons for that too.
Do you
Yeah.
ever sleep, man?
I sleep a little bit. And Robbie, one other quick thing before we
Yeah.
get back to Matt, real quick.
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to mention that with the cruise, we're trying to book a certain amount of cabins with a discount by August 10th. So if
Okay.
you could let the
Oh, you
audience
got
know
5
that.
days then.
5 days, yeah. So we need to bring in a few more cabins. And so if you're interested to do that cruise, please contact Tom Pacina at the phone number or the email that was on that ad. It's Tom Pacina at Ahoy Cruises DFW.com.
Now, if people
And
go
I'll
to
send that to
Les
you, Rob.
DeMerle, if they can go to this lesdemerle.com, can they get to that link from that?
Yeah. Yes, they can, or if they just Google Les DeMerle Little Big Band Cruise, I think it'll come up with the contact. And it
Okay.
is an event on book too. Yeah. And also one quick thing at the jazz festival, I didn't mention we also have a Sunday jazz brunch. So
Oh,
the
cool.
final day, the headlining acts, there's a Sunday. Okay, back to Matt. Okay.
So, Matt, what's your take on this Les DeMerle guy? He's one of the greatest drummers ever,
So,
ever.
yeah, it's amazing. I've been watching some clips recently, and I never got too much into jazz, but I really love Frank Sinatra. But my favorite singer of all time, other than my band, the Beach Boys, was Tony Bennett.
Uh-huh.
So I was interested to wonder what you played with Tony Bennett, and how was that?
Oh, it was amazing, Matt. I got to tour with Tony for months at a time because we did a show. It was the Harry James Orchestra with Tony Bennett and Sarah Vaughan. So that
Wow.
was a triple
Mm.
bill. And
Yeah.
and we got to play these theater in the rounds that I'm sure maybe you worked, and I know Robbie has worked them,
Yeah.
like the Westbury Music Fair and things like that. And so I got to hang out with Tony a lot during the matinees. And one thing that he said to me, Matt, that I'll always pass on is that one day we were having coffee together during killing some time in between the matinee and the headlining night, and he said, Les, you and I have one thing in common. I said, what's that, Mr. Tony Bennett? And he said, we never worked a day in our life,
Amen, brother.
because we love.
Yeah.
And that was
His
his he loved it from the heart, every note he ever sang, and that's what kept him going until
Sure.
'95 and singing great as he did. He had a lot of love,
Yeah.
Matt. And I'm so blessed to have
Yeah.
known him.
That's amazing. I loved him. Every note he sang really mattered to him. He didn't throw anything away. And some of those early '60s recordings are so amazing. The breath control he has, and of course he's got that tenor voice. But he's got that little
Yeah.
rasp to it. I love it. I wrote him a letter a long time ago and sent him a cover of his biography, and he signed it for me. So that's kind of a cool
Wow.
keepsake I have. Yeah. So
Great.
he's one of my
Great.
other than the Beach Boys and opera. I love Tony Bennett. He's the other guy. I have a lot of his stuff. So I think that's neat that you got.
And the Beach Boys, Les, I don't know if you know this, the Beach Boys and the Four Seasons, the model that both those groups used were the Four Freshmen.
Yes, yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, very interesting. Getting back to Tony Bennett real quick, Robbie, when Matt mentioned the '60s, the other night I pulled out one of my DVD CDs that had the Carnegie Hall concert that he did in the '60s. I think the first time he played Carnegie Hall, and he had so many jazz musicians, Robbie, in the band, including the great Latin percussion player Candido,
Oh,
who
wow.
really, and the opening tune has got Candido wailing like crazy on congas. I mean, Tony, and he also did an album from a drummer's point of view that blew my mind. At that time, it was called something like "The Beat of My Heart," and he had Art Blakey, Mel Lewis, Sandu, Candido, and I think maybe Shelly Manne. He did a whole thing with drums and voice. And there was some other, bass and piano, but most of it was just percussion and voice. Tony Bennett was really like cutting edge, man. A lot of the stuff that he did. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Both those records I've heard before, but I got to say, Robbie and Mr. DeMerle, that music you played when you guys were in a band together, that stuff was awesome. That was real. I didn't know you did that, Robbie. You surprised me every time we talked.
There,
Yeah, it's amazing.
Those were our wild days, Matt. That was a whole different Robbie Robinson, man. We'd start playing at midnight, and 3 days later we'd say, "Let's take a break,"
I mean, it was such a cool scene. But also, you have to put it in the context of the 70s, because the 70s, there was a music scene, this jazz fusion, and it was really the amalgamation, the blending of jazz, straight ahead jazz, and funk, and R&B, and rock music, and all. And one of our regulars who watch it, I don't see him tonight, is Vinnie Martell from the Vanilla Fudge. But I remember when Carmine Appice came in and sat in with us, right?
Right. We did a double drum thing with Carmine and playing with Transfusion, and then I would play. We had these two huge drum sets set up, Robbie. Because in those days I was playing the double bass drum kit.
Yeah.
And Robbie and of course Carmine was doing that, and man, it was just amazing. And Matt, you should have, if you could have been with us in the Cellar Theater in the days that Robbie's talking about. I mean, it was just unbelievable, And you never knew who was going to walk in.
Right.
We could be in the middle of a set, and then the Manhattan Transfer would walk in. I remember one night Lou Rawls even came in. I remember one night. Yeah.
And we had, I remember, and one of the guys, we had members of Frank Zappa's Mothers of Invention in the band. We had members of Tina Turner's band. We had Ike and Tina Turner's band. We had members of Milcho Liviev from Don Ellis's band. Who were some of the other musicians that played? You mentioned them earlier, but who were some of those other guys?
Let's see. We had Eric Marienthal, and then we had
who was Chick Corea's guy for years and years. Yeah.
And there were some times when Jaco Pastorius would come in, and also Peter Erskine came in a lot of times. Don Ellis came in himself one night, the trumpet player, and just so many musicians. Eddie Harris, don't forget Eddie.
Don Ellis is the guy who recommended me to Buddy Greco, and because Buddy Greco was looking for a guy, and Don Ellis recommended me to Buddy Greco. He must have saw me there at the Cellar.
At the Cellar. Isn't that wild, Robbie?
Yeah.
That's why that's interesting, Robbie. We were playing with Transfusion. I don't know if you were with me. You might have been though. One night when I had Eric Marienthal with me and Chick Corea came in.
Oh, I would have remembered that. I don't remember it, but
it was one of the places in the Valley. I think it was an incarnation of the Transfusion right after you, in between you. It might have been Dave Benoit then playing piano. But anyway, the first time that Chick ever heard Eric was with my band.
Oh, wow.
It was, yeah, you know the club because I can picture us there. It was someplace in the Valley.
Yeah, I do remember that club, yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, it was a small club, and I had Sam Riney with me and Doug Norwine.
Yeah.
And Eric Marienthal was like in there auditioning, and Chick came in and he heard Eric, and he said, "I want to hire this guy." So that's how Eric Marienthal got with Chick,
Well, then he had a nice long run with Chick, that's for sure. And Eric, I still see him out here every now and then too. He's an amazing player.
Yes.
Well, listen,
So,
I want
Robbie,
to. Go ahead.
How's the connection with you and Matt? How do you guys hook up?
Okay, I met Matt and his brother, who's not with us tonight. I don't know where he is. I was off playing hooky tonight, but Matt and Greg Coffey have the Beach Boys talk, and I was a guest on their show, and
I see.
So now we've had them as a segment in our show, And these guys are so graciously, they broadcast it out there on their platform. So that's so cool, Matt, that you guys do that.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
you know,
great.
when we were growing up, we were Beach Boys fans, and my dad was a big Four Seasons fan. So it's Providence that we got to meet Robbie and get with such a legend, because that's our other favorite band that we like is the Four Seasons. So it's pretty neat, and always an honor to be on here and meet all these great guests you have, Robbie. It's so amazing. So
Well, I'm going to show you a cool clip. We're going to go back to 1967, and Rosemary Clooney, one of the great jazz singers of all time, and this is when Les crashed the party with Rosemary.
I got one connection to make when I say that Brian Wilson, he says the Four Freshmen, but one of the favorite artists he listened to when he was younger was Rosemary Clooney. So
Oh,
there
I
you go.
didn't
There's
know
a little
that.
Beach Boy connection.
Perfect
Yeah,
connection.
he loved her. So yeah.
Well, thanks, Matt. Check this out now, everybody.
Thanks a lot. It was an honor. Thank you.
Rosemary.
Nice to meet you.
Les and Rosemary Clooney. It goes like this.
Here I go again. I hear those trumpets blow again. All aglow again. Taking a chance on love. Things are mending now. I see a rainbow blending now. We'll have our happy ending now. Taking a chance on love. I walk around with a horseshoe in clover I like. And brother rabbit, of course you better kiss your foot goodbye. On a ball again, I'm riding for a fall again. I'm gonna give my all again, taking a chance on love. Taking a chance on love.
Rosemary Clooney. Les DeMerle. Well, thank you very much. And Catherine will be back tomorrow, the rest of the week. Bye-bye.
That's such a classic clip, brother.
That's wild the way that happened, Robbie. I tell you, that's as spontaneous as it gets. You know.
Well, tell the story.
Well, you know, Mike always had the stools at the end of the show. Whoever was on the show, they sat on the stools with him. And if he had a singer, of course, like Rosie, then she or he would sing a tune and they would go out. But, you know, the fact that I was a drummer, but I did have my sticks with me when she started singing Taking a Chance on Love, I just figured, okay, I'm going to jump in on this, you know, because I was featured on the show too, you know. So I tried, at first you hear me click the sticks. Then I got this twinkle in Mike Douglas's eye. He looked over at me like, okay, now there's something's going to spontaneously happen with this little jam, you know.
Now that's like any good jazz musician. You're in the moment, you're reading the moment, and you're reading the twinkle. I love it, man.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, and Mike Douglas, by the way, was very musical, Robbie.
Yes,
he was
yes.
a great singer himself. His history was he was a band singer first before he became a TV host. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, he and Merv
he was a
Griffith
singer.
both were the same
Yeah,
thing.
so very musical.
We did his show a few times with Frankie. He was
Yep.
he loved Frankie too.
Oh, I know. Yeah. So I started to, you know, play on the stools, and you'll get a kick out of this. I mean, you know, Rosie was so kind of like taken out of her zone that she looks at me and she says half, as if I'm playing changes or something. You know, I'm just playing rhythm. You know what I mean?
That's great. And she was
I mean, I'm
she was
just
a
gonna-
great artist, wasn't she? I mean, what a great singer.
Yeah. Was absolutely, yeah. And one of your guests just across the screen said that's George Clooney's aunt. You know, so I play that clip on ships for younger people. I say, how many people know Rosemary Clooney? And only a few hands come up. Okay, how many people know George Clooney? Oh, all the hands go up.
Yeah.
That's George's aunt. You know, Rosie Clooney. You know.
Mary Clooney.
But she made some great jazz records too, Robbie. You know, some of my big time. Some of my favorite are the ones she did with Woody Herman's band. She's got the big band roaring behind her, Woody's band at its height, and she's just, you know, taking charge, you know.
I've got some cool pictures here. I've got some old pictures. Let's see what we got. Look at that guy.
That was taken at the Greek Theater. We were opening up for Joni Mitchell,
Uh-huh.
and she had. I was with Richie Cole's band, and a jazz photographer named Tom Copy got that photo, and that's the same concert where I was bending the cymbal, and that's on one of my drum books, and that like became a very popular photo for me. Everybody that remembers the Fusion days, they say, "Are you going to bend the cymbal?" That kind of thing.
And you're talking about the
Yeah.
Cellar. There's a poster from the Cellar.
Wow, look at that. Oh my God, Robbie. That's classic. That's classic. Every Monday night you're in there, Robbie,
Yeah.
Rex is in there, and Mark Hatch is up on top, and all the guys. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
beautiful that you have that, Robbie.
I
That's
don't know where that
wonderful.
came from. I think my brother Scott sent that to me.
Oh, is that right? Uh-huh.
Yeah. There's an old picture of the band.
Yeah, there's the Rat Pack right there, man. That's the original Rat Pack.
Yeah. Now that guy with his hand on your shoulder, isn't that Bunk Gardner?
I'm sorry, Robbie?
Is that Bunk Gardner back there next to you?
That's Bunk Gardner.
Yeah.
And then
From the Mothers of Invention.
Below me is Hush.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Hush Preston from Argentina. Then there's Robbie Robinson.
There's a young
best
me.
looking guy in the band.
You just had me as a sex symbol, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were definitely the sex symbol of the band. Absolutely. And then there's Mark Hatch, and there's Barry, the guitar player.
Coates. Barry
oh
Coates.
man, Barry Coates. Right there you go. And then Sam Riney. Sam Riney is standing up in the back, saxophone player, and there's Rex Robinson right in the front of him.
I think Rex was really the sex symbol of the band.
Yeah.
And there we are a few years later,
Robbie.
which is cool.
Yeah, this was so beautiful that you guys did that. Bonnie and I had just played Singapore. That's why I had that gold shirt on. I had some clothes made over there.
Wow.
And that's you and Rex on both my sides. And then we have Kenny Goldberg on saxophone, and also Charlie Black.
Yeah.
That's Charlie on next to you, Robbie.
Charlie
and
Black
Bonnie was there too.
Yeah, he was one of the first musicians I met in L.A., and he did a tour with us with Steve March Torme.
Oh, wow. Cool. What a sweetheart of a man.
Oh,
what
yeah.
a beautiful
He died
man.
very young, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
By the way,
I miss it.
here's a question for you. And the question is, how do you prepare your mindset before you play the drums? Do you already know what you're going to play, or do you let the music come to you and be spontaneous?
Well, as a band leader, I know what I'm going to play and the songs that are going to be in the sets. But as a jazz musician, I react differently to the way the band performs the music, and spontaneously I'll change my rhythms up, and I'll go out and take chances and create and improvise. And then, but I always I'm always serving the music, so I don't go too far away from what the concept of the song is about. And in the early clips that Robbie played, especially Canned Heat Suite, there's a designated drum part that you have to play to make that melody come alive. But once we get into the jazz, into the spontaneity of the improvisations, then it's like I'm taking care of business and playing the time. That's most important. But I'm also improvising freely, with interacting with either the horns or Robbie during his solo, or whoever the soloist is. So to answer your question, there's form to it, but as a jazz musician, I take a lot of liberties with it. But number one is always take care of business and play the arrangement, be true to the music and to the arranger's concept of what the tune is about.
I think any musician, and I've always said this, I think it's such an important thing is to listen, to really listen what's going on around, and so you're not just in your own world, you're in this chemistry of this of musicians, of music that's going on around you, no matter what the style is. Jazz probably more so because it's so free form. But no matter
Yeah,
if you're playing a Beethoven symphony or a Shostakovich or you're playing a blues tune, you got to listen to what's going on around you and fit into the groove.
absolutely. And that was one of the beautiful things, Robbie, about transfusion.
Mm.
Everybody listened. And also everybody would put in their feelings about the band,
Yep.
and many of the guys, of course, you were one of the prime writers for the band, but you remember that if there were guys in the band like Mark Hatch would bring in an
Yeah.
arrangement, and I would inspire the guys to write, and bring you to the band. This is your band as much as it's my band. And if you give the sidemen, if they have that kind of talent, that kind of freedom, they're going to want to be in the band and they're going to play their best for you. And that's what we captured, lightning in a bottle with those records.
That really was. And you, as a band leader, I'll give you a compliment here because to be a band leader, it's all about, getting the chemistry right and knowing when to push, when to know when to lay back, when to know to allow guys. And you were always very gracious in allowing guys to do their thing.
Well, thank you, Robbie. Thank you. Well, I was just so honored to have all that talent. I mean, we had so much energy in that band, and not only the music, of course, but the personalities we had. I mean, and the thing is, the cats were able to express themselves through the music, and then spontaneously the smiles on the bandstand, and
Well, we all
like
it goes
yeah,
back to that comment what you said about Tony Bennett. You and he never worked a day in your life, and I would attest to that too. We
I agree.
get to do what we love to do every day. It's such a blessing.
It really is, Robbie. Absolutely. And all the mentors, everything that I do, I've learned from the
Sure.
best. The fact that I was so blessed to get the job with Harry James.
Yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
man.
when people say to me, what college did you go to? I say I went to the college of Harry James.
That's
I
right.
learned most of the stuff I do
King
on
James, right?
yeah, the King James. Right.
Speaking of
There's
college,
Buddy.
here was one of my colleges, and that's an album that you and I both worked on.
Yes, that's right, Robbie. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, I'm on a few tracks on that,
Mhm.
and that was a ball to play with him on that record.
I learned so much from him. And when I was with you, I was going out and touring with him for part of that period of time too.
I remember that, Robbie. Yeah,
But he
yeah,
was amazing talent, and a
yeah,
mentor.
yeah.
And
Well,
I remember
and
I would go over to his house, man, and I would say, "Okay, now show me how to play a ballad the way you play ballads." And he sat down. I mean, basically giving me lessons, Buddy Greco.
yeah. And he was really a jazz piano player first. He played with Benny Goodman when he was a kid.
Right, right,
You know, and I mean, probably before he was a singer. I think he was probably
exactly. Well, when he was
yeah.
with, and he told me the story too. One time, they had this girl singer who came in an audition for Benny Goodman. It was Marilyn Monroe, but she didn't get the gig. I guess it was a good thing she didn't because she had a pretty
Yeah,
good career after that.
yeah.
I love this
That's
picture, man.
uh that was taken in Boston, Robbie, at the night that Zildjian Cymbals came to hear us,
Hmm.
Armin Zildjian. And so Armin said, let me get a photo of you and Harry, and we'll run it in some ads. That's why the symbol's in there. So when
Yeah.
Harry got behind me, I actually took my drumsticks and I was playing a paradiddle on the bell of his horn. So I'm the only drummer in the world, I think, that ever played a paradiddle on the bell of Harry James horn.
Wow. That and he didn't mind it, like, obviously, huh?
No, he broke up. He broke up, man. He said, no, man, it's a photo. You don't have to move. I said, I can't help it, Harry. I'm so excited, man. I'm going to play.
Here's some other cool pictures. There you are that's at the Cellar, I think, isn't it?
No, this photo, actually, Robbie, that either is the Cellar, or we used to play that little club called $2 bills
Right,
on
right.
on, on Franklin, and that might have been $2 bills, but I'm not sure. But I'm
But
soaking wet in that
you
shot,
and
man.
that's how we played, wasn't it? It was like
Oh
intense,
man,
man.
Yeah, it was intense, Robbie.
Pedal to the metal, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There's another album.
Yeah, that's live at Concerts by the Sea. That one, Rex, we play Samba Andrea Swing on that. That's a very tough Don Menza chart. And I think he was out on the road with you, maybe with Buddy Greco, and he came in day of that record date, and I showed him the chart. And he said, when you're going to do this on the next album, right? I said, no, we're recording this tonight, man, you know. So Rex nailed it.
There's Rex. And you came when you did the Jam for Jesus when you were still living out here. You did a couple of them with us, which was really cool.
Yeah. Actually, Bonnie and I were already in Florida, Robbie, and we came out.
You were out here for that then.
Yeah, we came for the Christmas because I would come out to see my mom, and then we would come to your Jam for Jesus, and my mother loved being at the church and do that too, and she loved you too so much.
She was a great lady. Speaking of Bonnie, is your beautiful bride around there? I'd love to see her. Can she come into the picture, or is she up for it?
Yeah, I think so. If I can get her, I know she was listening a minute ago. Let me see if I can call her and see.
All right, let's see if we can look. There's another picture of the band there. Some more pictures of the band. Look at that picture. Les DeMerle and his band. Bulldozer Stomp Off.
That's my first. That's my first record, Robbie, ever. That was the first one. Yeah. Okay, Robbie, just give me 1 second to open the door, and I'll see if Bonnie can come in.
Sounds good. I've got a clip I'll play here. This is you playing with Harry back in the day. Here it is.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting for your entertainment right now, the great Harry James and his orchestra.
Look who's here, Bonnie Izell there. Hey.
Hi. Oops, which way do I go? There I go. Okay.
There you are. Hey, good to see you. You guys are going to be super busy, I see. I mean, you've got the cruise coming up. You've got the jazz festival. So cool.
I've got a drummer for a husband who's an impresario. What do you expect?
He is an impresario, and he's got more energy than Frankie Valli, the Energizer Bunny, I think.
Oh, I don't know. Frankie's up there. He's just really hanging. He's he's an inspiration to us all, really.
Absolutely right.
90 years old, still out there doing it. Well, I'm glad, too, that the hurricane didn't treat you unkindly over there, guys.
So far, so good. There's a little bit of wind, a little bit of debris, but I think it bypassed us. Some people really got hit. I pray for them, but luckily we've been lucky. So we're
this cruise really looks like a cool thing that you guys are going to do.
If you could ever join, I heard you say that you wanted to join us. If you could do that, it would just be such a blast. but yeah, once a year we're going out and hitting, the high seas and having a wonderful time every night, playing great jazz. And we just really want to get everybody excited about it within the next 5 days because we really want it to happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, here's where they have to go. Sorry, not that. Oops, wrong button. But lesdemerle.com.
He's good, thing's great.
Yeah, I've got all these buttons here, and if I hit the wrong button, then we get shot up to the moon or something like that, or else the parachute goes out. I don't know, but hey, it is always so good to see both you guys, and to catch up with my Ogumba Les DeMerle, is always a class. And we always go longer than I think we should, and I always take advantage of you in that respect. So I'm sorry for that, guys.
Oh man, Robbie, it feels like 5 minutes. It's cool.
I've been enjoying it. I had to take my apron off, though. We're going to have midnight dinner here, and just as soon as
Oh,
you
that's
guys
right.
finish.
It is. You're out there in Florida, so it's 11:35 out there.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy your dinner. Thank you
Okay.
so much. And everybody, make sure you go out and get some tickets for that cruise. Get tickets for the Amelia Island Jazz Festival. Oh, what a night that's going to be, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, 8 of them.
Oh, man. Oh, what a night. 8 times 8. Yes. Well, you guys
Robbie,
take
thanks a
care.
million.
Thank you,
Okay,
Les.
Thank you,
See you
buddy.
guys
Thank you,
later.
Robbie.
Thank you.
It's
All
been
right.
beautiful.
Bye-bye. Les DeMerle, Bonnie Izell. There they are. Ah, kiss cam.
yeah,
I love
kiss
it. See you later.